What if I told you that behind Elon Musk's empire there exists a hidden world of women whose lives are shaped by luxury, ambition, heartbreak and fortune, yet almost none of it is publicly understood? From actresses who married him twice to geniuses who built companies with him in secret, their stories reveal more than headlines ever could. And if you watch until the end, you'll uncover the most unexpected connection that ties them all together. Justine Musk, the first wife who built the foundation. If you really want to understand the luxurious world of Elon Musk's girlfriends, you have to start with the one woman who knew him long before rockets, electric cars or billion-dollar valuations ever entered the picture, Justine Musk. Before the world called him a visionary, she met him as a quiet, intense engineering student at Queen's University who spent more on science fiction paperbacks than on meals. Their early days weren't glamorous at all. They lived in small apartments, ate cheap takeout, and shared a used computer worth barely $800, the first asset Elon insisted they needed, even when they could hardly afford furniture. When they married in 2000, their life still didn't resemble the wealth people imagine today. Justine later explained that they lived like any young couple scrambling to survive, even after Elon sold Zip2 and suddenly had access to millions. The public saw newspaper headlines about a $22 million payout, but Justine saw something different. Relentless ambition that consumed every second of their marriage. And while that ambition built the empire we know today, it also meant long nights alone, even as they raised twins and triplets through IVF, each cycle costing them more than $15,000 at a time when they were still learning how to manage sudden wealth. The darkest chapter came with the loss of their first son, Nevada, an event Justine says permanently shaped the way Elon thinks about risk, time and legacy. She carried that pain quietly while maintaining a home life that the outside world never saw, driving the kids to school, writing novels from a shared desk, and navigating a marriage where the pressure of global ambition became impossible to hold together. After their divorce in 2008, Justine didn't disappear. She built her own identity as an author, a speaker, and a woman determined to show that wealth cannot protect anyone from grief or reinvention. Her book, Blood Angel, wasn't a bestseller, but it became a symbol of the life she rebuilt, not with rockets or tech, but with discipline and self-worth. If you were in her position, watching the man you married become one of the richest people alive, do you think you could walk away and find your own path? Tell me in the comments below. Talulah Riley, the actress Elon married twice. Long before the tabloids framed her as the actress who married Elon Musk twice, Talulah Riley had already built a name for herself in the polished world of British cinema. She wasn't a background character in his story, she was a rising star with roles in Pride and Prejudice, Inception, and later Westworld, earning consistent six-figure salaries from film and publishing work that placed her comfortably inside the UK's creative elite. When she first met Elon in London, she was 22, he was already worth more than $300 million. And yet what caught her attention wasn't his wealth, it was his quiet intensity, the way he spoke about engineering with the same passion she reserved for acting. Their romance escalated quickly. Within months, Talulah found herself stepping into a world where private jet flights for work became normal and where gifts weren't flowers but things like a $90,000 vintage piano Elon believed would inspire her writing. She moved to Los Angeles into a home whose security system alone cost $45,000 and entered the kind of life most actresses only see in scripts. Chauffeured cars, stylists on standby, red carpets paired with Silicon Valley boardrooms. But what made her story different wasn't the luxury, it was the turbulence. They married in 2010, divorced in 2012, then married again in 2013, creating a loop the media found bewildering, but she described simply as two people trying to find each other in the middle of extraordinary pressure. During those years, she watched Elon pour hundreds of millions into SpaceX and Tesla, sometimes risking $70 million at a time just to keep the companies alive, while she tried to balance her own work with a lifestyle that demanded constant adaptation. Despite the chaos, there were moments of genuine calm, quiet dinners at home where Elon cooked simple meals, weekends spent reading in the sunroom, and long conversations about philosophy, writing, and the kind of world they wanted to shape. And when they divorced for the second time in 2016, she didn't retreat bitterly. She returned to England, kept her acting career, published books, and maintained an independent net worth that grew steadily from her royalties and investments, proof she was never defined by his wealth. Through it all, Talulah Riley became more than Elon Musk's ex-wife. She became the rare figure who could leave a billionaire twice and still be remembered with genuine affection by both him and the public. With a futuristic artist who had Musk's most famous children, before the world knew her as the woman who gave Elon Musk two of his most talked-about children, Grimes was already a force of her own creation, a Canadian artist who built a career by fusing electronic music, digital futurism, and surreal performance art into a universe only she could navigate. By her early 30s, she had earned several $1 million in album sales, touring, and licensing deals, enough to buy her own properties in Los Angeles and invest in high-end audio equipment worth over $40,000. She wasn't chasing the spotlight, she was designing her own dimension, and Elon stepped directly into it. They met in 2018 through a shared joke about artificial intelligence, the kind of connection only two people living at the edges of science and art could understand. Their relationship wasn't traditional, it was fluid, distant, intellectual, chaotic, and strangely tender. One moment they were debating philosophy at a rooftop dinner that cost more than $1,200 per person, and the next they were tucked inside a quiet room full of synthesizers, building experimental soundscapes while SpaceX rockets boomed in the background. In 2020, Grimes gave birth to XAEAXII, a child whose name instantly went viral. Elon bought specialized newborn equipment, including a temperature-controlled sleep pod worth $3,500, while Grimes designed ambient music to calm the baby, creating a kind of futuristic nursery soundtrack that no other mother on Earth would think to compose. Then, in 2021, their second child arrived via Saurier Exa Dark Sidararel, nicknamed Tau, a name inspired by deep space physics and fantasy lore. Despite the extravagant environment surrounding them, Grimes often chose simplicity. She preferred a minimalist home office instead of the $20,000 art installations Elon kept offering to buy her. She recorded music on a laptop plastered with stickers instead of studio gear worth hundreds of thousands. She moved through his billionaire world in thrifted clothes and combat boots, a contrast that made her presence even more captivating. But the relationship fractured under the weight of distance and demanding careers. When the custody battle began, legal fees spiraled. Grimes publicly admitted she felt financially crushed, reportedly spending over $500,000 on attorneys and filings. For someone once financially secure, it marked a brutal shift. Yet even after the breakup, her influence remained. She didn't just share children with Elon Musk, she shaped a visual and cultural legacy around him, one that blended technology, myth, and art into something unforgettable. Shivon Zilis, the Neuralink executive with secret twins. Before the world learned her name through a leaked court document in 2022, Shivon Zilis had already built a reputation inside the quiet upper floors of Silicon Valley, those conference rooms where billion-dollar AI decisions are made behind glass walls and biometric scanners. A Yale graduate with degrees in economics and philosophy, she moved through the tech world at a velocity that made even seasoned investors pause. By her early 30s, she had earned well over $2 million from salaries, bonuses, and stock options across firms like Bloomberg Beta, OpenAI, and eventually Neuralink, where she became operations director. Her workspace reflected the precision she demanded from herself: a 4K monitor worth $1,200, a sit-stand desk valued at $1,000, and a neural data server stack that cost her team nearly $80,000 to configure. Everything in her environment, from the tungsten lighting to the encrypted communication systems, suggested someone who treated time and information as currency. When her private connection with Elon Musk surfaced, the world reacted with shock. But inside Neuralink, the partnership made sense. Both were obsessed with accelerating the timeline of artificial intelligence, the kind of obsession measured not in hours or days, but in neural thread prototypes and regulatory filings. Their twins, Strider and Azure, were born in 2021 via IVF, a decision that allowed Shivon to maintain the relentless work schedule that defined her life. Elon reportedly covered high-security medical accommodations valued at $50,000, ensuring the children were protected from media intrusion from the moment they were born. In February 2024, she welcomed Arcadia, a daughter named after a vision of technological utopia. Later that year, her fourth child, Selden Kiragius, arrived, his name echoing the foundation of futuristic prediction models in science fiction. Each birth required medical privacy protocols typically reserved for high-level government officials, including secure transport, masked teams, and encrypted hospital records. Even with 4 children connected to one of the richest men alive, Shivon avoided the billionaire partner spotlight entirely. She drove a modest $55,000 electric SUV instead of the $150,000 luxury models parked at most Silicon Valley campuses. She lived in a quiet Austin home estimated at $1.1 million, chosen not for glamour but for proximity to Neuralink's testing facilities. What makes her story extraordinary isn't scandal, it's the scale of ambition behind it. Shivon didn't chase fame, influence, or luxury. She built a life around intelligence, precision, and long-term vision, quietly shaping the future while the world fixated on the man beside her. Ashley Sinclair, the activist with a paternity battle. For years, Ashley Sinclair was known online as the sharp-tongued conservative commentator who built an audience with nothing more than a ring light, a smartphone, and an instinct for going viral. But everything changed when she stepped into a world far beyond political debates, a world where private jets, non-disclosure agreements, and billion-dollar reputations collide. In early 2025, she announced that her son, Romulus, born in late 2024, was fathered by Elon Musk himself. It was the kind of revelation that doesn't just create headlines, it detonates them. What fascinated observers wasn't only the claim, but the sophistication of the life Ashley had built around herself long before the scandal erupted. Her Dallas apartment, with its panoramic skyline view, cost her $8,500 per month, furnished with a $12,000 Italian sofa and a recording setup valued at $15,000. A space engineered to project confidence to millions of followers. But behind the scenes, the legal battle unfolding was anything but curated. When Ashley filed for custody recognition, Musk publicly expressed uncertainty about paternity. That uncertainty launched an explosive negotiation, one that ended with a settlement powerful enough to change almost anyone's future. Ashley reportedly received $2.5 million up front, a sum large enough to purchase a gated estate in Texas or fund her son's entire lifetime of private education. On top of that, she secured $500,000 per year, partially structured as a loan, a financial architecture designed by lawyers who understand exactly how high-profile wealth must move. The money wasn't theoretical, it was already reshaping her life. She upgraded to a $95,000 luxury SUV with bullet-resistant glass. She hired a $40,000 a year security consultant to monitor threats. She converted a spare bedroom into a nursery with medical-grade air filtration costing $9,000, a level of precaution common in celebrity households where privacy is a currency more valuable than gold. Yet what gripped the public wasn't the furniture or the cars or even the settlement. It was the tension surrounding the truth. Was Romulus genuinely Musk's son, or was Ashley navigating the most high-stakes chapter of her life with nothing but conviction and documentation? The story had all the makings of a modern saga: power, money, uncertainty, and a mother determined to secure her child's place in a world where even the smallest claim can alter the trajectory of the wealthiest family on Earth. Nicole Shanahan, the political figure linked by controversy. Before she was thrust into headlines alongside Elon Musk, Nicole Shanahan had already built a life engineered for influence. A California-born lawyer, she rose from a modest childhood to founding the BioEcho Foundation, a philanthropy dedicated to reproductive justice and longevity research. Her work attracted elite donors, and by her mid-30s she controlled a grant portfolio valued at over $20 million, placing her firmly in the world of scientific power players. But the public rarely paid attention to Nicole until 2021, when whispers of an alleged affair with Elon Musk surfaced. An accusation denied by both sides, yet potent enough to fracture friendships at the highest levels of Silicon Valley. At the time, she was still married to Sergey Brin, the Google co-founder whose net worth exceeded $100 billion and lived between their $13 million Los Altos estate and an art-filled penthouse in San Francisco. The rumor ignited a media wildfire, not because of evidence, but because all three names carried gravitational pull. Nicole, however, didn't disappear into the shadows. She stepped into politics with a move so unexpected it stunned Washington, becoming Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s vice presidential running mate in 2024. Her campaign wardrobe alone, custom suits from eco-luxury designers, reportedly cost over $60,000, while her travel team booked private charters priced around $25,000 per flight to keep up with the national schedule. Yet beneath the glamour was a technocrat with a mission, speaking not in slogans but in statistics about IVF, maternal health and environmental toxicity. What made Nicole's story riveting wasn't scandal, it was contrast. A woman who once navigated Silicon Valley's most elite circles was now standing on political stages, positioning herself as a bridge between science, wealth, and social reform. Whether or not any rumor about Musk held truth, the moment their names collided marked a turning point in her public life, illuminating just how swiftly narratives shift when billionaires and power intersect. Natasha Basset, the low-profile actress in a brief romance. Before her name became quietly linked to Elon Musk, Natasha Basset was known as the Australian actress, who moved through Hollywood with a kind of understated elegance that never demanded attention, yet always earned it. Born in Sydney in 1992, she trained at the National Institute of Dramatic Art, then sharpened her craft in New York, living in a rented studio apartment that cost her $3,200 per month, a steep price for a young actress, but one she insisted was an investment in her future. Her breakthrough came with a bold role, portraying Britney Spears in a 2017 biographical TV movie, followed by appearances in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, where her on-screen poise caught industry eyes. By 2021, she had built a resume valued enough for casting directors to keep her on shortlists, earning around $150,000 per project, a significant climb from her early years doing unpaid student films. But in 2022, Natasha stepped into a different kind of spotlight when she was photographed stepping off a $15 million Gulfstream jet beside Elon Musk. The relationship was described as casual, but the imagery, an actress with old Hollywood beauty emerging from a jet that burns $12,000 of fuel on a single cross-country flight, ignited speculation. Yet what made the story unusual was her reaction. She vanished. No interviews, no tell-all, no strategic publicity tour. Instead, she retreated to a modest rental home in Los Angeles priced at $6,500 a month, choosing privacy over fame. Friends described her as deeply focused on screenwriting, often working late nights surrounded by stacks of handwritten notes, drinking inexpensive $12 herbal teas from an organic shop she liked. Natasha Basset never tried to use the connection to elevate her career, which made her one of the rare figures around Musk whose life didn't explode into headlines. Her chapter in his story is brief, quiet, and wrapped in the kind of restraint that only makes her more intriguing. An actress who brushed against global fame and then deliberately stepped back into the shadows. Amber Heard, the turbulent relationship under a global spotlight. Long before her name collided with Elon Musk, Amber Heard was already one of Hollywood's most polarizing figures, an actress whose life swung between blockbuster red carpets and courtroom spotlights. After the upheaval of her highly publicized split from Johnny Depp, she retreated into a quieter existence. But in that turbulent period, she entered a brief and intense relationship with Musk, a chapter marked not by glamour but by emotional aftershocks neither anticipated. At the time, Amber was living in a rented Los Angeles home costing $12,000 per month, a sanctuary of high ceilings, glass walls, and security upgrades priced at $45,000, all installed after months of relentless media attention. Musk, who was navigating his own storms, reportedly supported her emotionally, even arranging private travel on jets valued at over $60 million when she needed to escape the press cycle. Their relationship ended quickly but not quietly. The intensity lingered long after the headlines faded. Then came the whispers, speculation about Amber's children, Una Page, born in 2021 via surrogate, and later Agnes and Ocean, twins born in 2025. Their arrival triggered global fascination because every part of Amber's life was magnified, analyzed, and dissected. But paternity, never confirmed, never denied, and never clarified by Musk, whose silence became its own storyline. Today, Amber lives in a secluded region of Spain, in a countryside home purchased for $1.3 million, surrounded by olive trees and far removed from the Hollywood machinery that once consumed her days. She still acts, but chooses only quiet, low-tour projects, earning around $200,000 per role, far from her peak, but exactly the pace she wants. Her connection to Musk remains a ghostly thread, a brief intersection of two chaotic worlds that created more questions than answers. Which part of Amber's story surprised you the most? Let me know your thoughts below. The women in Elon Musk's life didn't just stand beside the world's most ambitious billionaire, they built careers, raised families, and shaped entire chapters of his story in ways most people never see. Their lives are luxurious, complicated, and surprisingly human beneath the spotlight. If you enjoyed this journey into the private world surrounding Elon Musk, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss part 2, where we reveal the untold stories that were too shocking for this episode.